Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement. Good day again, viewers, and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney. Just want to tell you that this program was brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources, and cooperatives. I want to say a special good day to the viewers, for those persons who have been constantly viewing the program and, of course, have been meeting me from time to time, encouraging me to continue the program. It is very resourceful, and they've given me some good ideas. They want to see a lot more of interaction with the farmers and the farming community out there. That we will do soon, with a new program coming on very, very soon. I just want to also say that the St. Lucia Marketing Board has reopened. It was not closed. It was closed temporarily for 2 weeks for a bit of restructuring under new management. Farmers are very happy that they were able to go back to the depot in Angers and also in Otsa, and also the outlet for consumers in Castries. Consumers are very happy that they can go in there just before Easter, because that was one of their concerns, not getting the right things, the right commodities at the right price. They are saying that outside on the go low is not what they really want. Some of them may want it, but some of them want to go in and buy it by the pound and get quality. So Marketing Board is back on stream. I also want to say to you, with me this morning is Mr. Eden Compton, who is our special projects coordinator in the Department of Agriculture. I want to say good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Morning, Mr. Sydney.
Mr. Compton, I know you have done a lot of work as far as projects are concerned in the ministry. I also know that in 2013, the EU had given about 13.5 million euros for agricultural projects in St. Lucia. I know a number of projects. I think we identified approximately about 27 projects. Tell us exactly, how the fund was distributed.
Yes. First and foremost, I just want to start by, I think we should thank the European Union for all the assistance that they've given the agricultural sector over the years. Initially, this assistance was focused on improving banana production and productivity. But as time went by, this changed. And from the time they conceptualized a special framework of assistance, which spanned over a period of 10 years, from 1999 to SFA 2008, the focus then was on diversification of the agricultural sector. So this 10.35 million euros that you referred to came under the Agricultural Transformation Program of the Banana Accompanying Measures Program, better known as BAM. Yes. So the BAM basically was for further transformation of the agricultural sector. So the financing agreement was signed on the 6th of May 2013. And immediately afterwards, stakeholders were invited to help identify projects to be funded under the BAM. So over a 3-day period, the stakeholders came up with somewhere in the region of approximately 40 projects. But of course, the budget had to be taken into consideration, and 27 projects were shortlisted and grouped under 4 categories. There was the agri-enterprise facilitation, focusing on market development and agro-processing. And under this component, there were projects like quite a few capacity building efforts. For example, product development, food safety, value chain analysis, cluster facilitation, business management, all for farmers and agro-processors. So they benefited significantly. There was also the refurbishment, retrofitting and refurbishment of 4 agro-processing facilities, one at Foissaw, the Lakai Honey Processing Facility, Angers Agro Processing Facility, and the Angers Cocoa Microfermentary under this component. The second component was the Research and Technology Facilitation, and under this component, a diagnostic facility was constructed, and also equipment procured, and training in the use and maintenance of the equipment. The third one was disaster risk reduction in agriculture. Under this component, oil was procured, somewhere in the region of 80,000 gallons of oil, and fungicide was also procured for the management of Black Sigatoga. And 4 roads were rehabilitated, one in Denry North, Micoud North, Vieux Fort North, and one in Soufre. And the last component, Agri-Enterprise for Youth, equipment was procured to assist farmers and particularly young persons with land preparation activities. I want to say that all these projects have been successfully implemented at this point. Yes.
Okay.
All 27 projects.
All 27 projects.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to the agro-processing. I think let's go them one by one. There's the Foasso agro-processing facility. Then the recently commissioned one was the Angers, and of course you also have the cocoa, all right? And then the one with the apiculture as the honey producers. Yeah. Okay, go through those agro-processing for us and give us a little detail.
Okay, first to begin with, under the ATP BAM program, there was a consultancy for the management to develop operational and management plans for the 4 facilities. And the plans looked at using the facilities as incubators where persons from the community involved in agro-processing and also members of groups involved in agro-processing could come and utilize the facilities for a fee. On the other hand, the European Union was pushing for the introduction of private-public sector partnerships. So the Department of Agriculture took both options into consideration. And this is why, after the retrofitting and refurbishment of the facilities, one by one, the Foasso Agro-Processing Facility was leased out to Paradise Food St. Lucia Limited. And they have quite a few projects, and and there is room for expansion. Okay. And they have a few issues that they have to sort out so that they can start, increasing production. The Lakai Honey Processing Facility is quite an interesting facility. There is so much storage space and processing space. The Millefleur honey producers, they just yesterday sent in their finalized proposal to the ministry, which has to be looked at, and so that they can manage the facility. Clearly, they will have to build some capacity to manage the facility, but the ministry is prepared to work with them in terms of them managing the facility and working closely with the apiculture farmers. Great. The third one, the Angers Agro Processing Facility, has been leased out to a group of ladies, the St. Lucia Network of Rural Women Producers, the Micoud cluster. The members reside between Deriso, Angers, and Prale, and they involve in the production of a variety of juices, jams, jellies, candied fruits, and confectionaries. Also the Micoud brand of chocolate, yes, and all of that, very nice. Yes. And they are going to be managing the facility, and they have opted for the more incubator approach, where members from the communities mentioned and members of the group, the organization, can come in and utilize the facility for a fee, but the facility will be managed by them. Okay. And the last one, the cocoa microfermentary, or the cocoa processing facility, from all indications will be managed by the premium cocoa producers, a group of cocoa farmers who have their holdings between Vieux Fort North and Prale. They have sent in a proposal, and they are trying to fine-tune all their affairs to take over the management of the facility. Wow. So this basically is the direction, looking at the two options, the direction that the Department of Agriculture is going in.
Well,
regarding the
that's
facilities.
that's a journey, eh?
Yeah.
And I'm also happy to note too that the Babono cluster are hoping to get space at the Foaso. A new facility going to be built for them, so that they will be on par with the Miku cluster in terms of production of their agro-processing activities. Very, very good. We are due for our first break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned.
Pour contrôler maladie cigatocanoué, il est nécessaire et bien important pour tenir tout équipement, particulièrement machine sprayer en bonnes conditions. Toujours nettoyer machine après ou servir et mettre en condition bon service même quand l'usine recommandé pour tenir. Depuis ou ka servi chimique pour contrôler maladie figue cigatocanoué, il est absolument important pour protéger corps et prendre en chaque précaution. Opérateur ces machines sprayer pour servir habillement qui caille bien protéger yo. Servir overall, goggles, boots et gloves pour empêcher chimique toucher la peau et bien expirer.
Pour plus d'informations à sous manière pour traiter et contrôler maladie cigatocanoué, à sous plantation et bien jardin ou ça téléphoner département pour ménager cigatocanoué à numéro 451 549 et bien 451 5894 et bien email yo à bpmu@candw.lc. Commission Salak a sorti Hod Ministère de l'Agriculture ensemble avec Fonds Coopération Internationale et Développement Hod Pays République la Chine Taïwan.
Welcome back to the program. Ms. Compton, so I'm so happy to hear about the successes of the agro-processing plants and where they're going. I think that's long overdue. St. Lucians have always been talking about what is government doing with all the waste, fruits, mangoes, and all the golden apples and stuff like this. So I'm happy to know that, St. Lucians have taken the initiative to move forward and to ensure that they have added value to it, and it's going places. We're moving forward to another very interesting and a very important area of the Diagnostic Laboratory Union.
Yes.
We have had a laboratory union for years. Of course, the end result is to facilitate results for the farmer, looking at soil testing, soil pH. The farmer wants to know whether he's feeding his animals the right formula. He wants to know, the fertilizer he's using has the right formula in the bag. Tell us something about this new diagnostic lab.
The diagnostic facility is being constructed to provide animal and plant pest and disease diagnostics and analytical services. And also at the diagnostic facility, the metrology lab of the Bureau of Standards will be based there. And as far as metrology is concerned, they focus on perfecting weights and measures and the calibration of equipment. So that's a very interesting marriage because there's a lot of equipment at the lab that will need calibration at different times. But going back to the laboratory, I think it's time that we as a Ministry of Agriculture and the farmers themselves approach agriculture in a very scientific way. Agriculture is not a trial and error situation. For example, I'll just use a few examples so that we understand where I'm coming from. If a piece of land is purchased and then the farmer wants to go into production of vegetables, apart from making sure that all the soil conservation measures are in place, what sort of soil conservation measures are going to be used, it's necessary that the farmer takes soil samples to a laboratory to be tested so that he can have an idea, he or she can have an idea of the deficiencies in the soil. As you know, a lot of our soils can be very acid, particularly in areas where bananas were planted over the years when we produced somewhere in the region of 134,000 metric tons of bananas per year. The ideal thing when you get the results from the lab, this will tell you or they'll recommend to you what is required to either neutralize the acid or what is required to to address the deficiencies in the soil. What combination of fertilizer, for example, that can be used? What macronutrients and what micronutrients? So you have a good balance so that you can go ahead and get the anticipated production that you're looking for. If you don't do that, then when you don't get the production, then you really don't know.
Correct.
So at the laboratory, this can be done, I would imagine, in record time. Other examples like varietal trials, for example. The Department of Agriculture then can get involved in varietal trials, whether it be on farmers' holdings or on land that the ministry has, and at the end of the day can advise farmers on what variety of individual crops that can be used more suitable for our conditions. Surveillance of plant pests and diseases, that's extremely important, which we don't do. And I can just think of an example. If, for example, a farmer is getting a contract to export anthurium lilies to Martinique, the first thing that the French officials will ask is, do you have a reliable pest and disease list? What diseases affecting anthurium lilies in St. Lucia that can also affect anthurium lilies in Martinique?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, because surveillance is a continuous process, and if you don't have that, they can easily tell you, I'm sorry, we cannot import from you because you don't have a reliable pest and disease list. Fertilizer, you mentioned earlier. When you look at a bag of fertilizer, yes, there's the label on the bag, which gives you a list of the macronutrients, the micronutrients and everything. It's always wise to test the fertilizer because sometimes the combination of nutrients in there is not what is listed on the label. The same thing for animal feed that you mentioned earlier. You can have layers, for example, and if a farmer has 6,000 layers, and then you expect the layers to lay at a particular time, and you keep feeding them, if the feed is not tested before, you can end up with a situation where you get eggs that are very small, not marketable, very thin-shelled eggs, and the farmer then will be at a loss. By the time the farmer collects samples to send overseas and waits 2 months for the results, he'll be at a great loss. But if you have a laboratory in St. Lucia where you can test the feed before, be proactive, and test the feed even before buying it, then at least you'll get some direction as to where to buy your feed and what type of feed to buy. A host of other things. Very importantly, surveillance for animal diseases.
Right.
That's very important. You have zoonotic diseases that can affect both animals and man. And we can just use one. There's tuberculosis, brucellosis, rabies, leptospirosis, a list of them. If you use tuberculosis as an example, you have bovine tuberculosis affecting cattle. You have human tuberculosis affecting human beings. You have avian tuberculosis affecting birds. The human tuberculosis can affect the bovine can affect human.
Wow.
So while the Ministry of Health is doing its work in terms of keeping abreast with the incidence of the disease, distribution of the disease, how many people are infected, where, and all of that, for human tuberculosis, the Department of Agriculture is not doing its work, and there needs to be collaboration between the agencies, the Ministry of Health and the Department of Agriculture, for leptospirosis, for tuberculosis, and all of that work, also for diseases that are not zoonotic in nature.
Yes.
That only affect animals. There has to be surveillance, continuous. Surveillance alone can take up a lot of the work that the lab has to do. All these are just examples to show you how necessary the diagnostic lab is for the agricultural sector. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for that note. And on that note, we'll take a break. Yeah. We'll be back soon. Stay tuned.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. Think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join. excessive agrochemical use. Additives and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy, and consume organic. A message from Rise St. Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The Good Food Revolution.
Welcome back to the program. Mr. Compton, you spoke about the points raised concerning the agro-processing. We spoke about the diagnostic lab. The end result is the farmer and the consumer.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at some of the areas that the EU funded, which is the rehabilitation of feeder roads. Tell us a little more about this.
Right. Well, 4 feeder roads were rehabilitated, and the roads were selected based on an assessment that was carried out it was a study under the BAM also, and one in Dennery North, one in Mikud North, one in Vieux-Fort North, and then the Migny-Derache Road in Soufrière for Saint-Jacques. It was absolutely necessary that the roads were included under the BAM because those roads were in a very bad condition. And you know, it's difficult for farmers when they have to travel very far, particularly the Soufrière farmers going to the Derache area.
Terrible.
Yes, terrible. And because they waste a lot of time trying to get to their farm. So if they have a motorable road, they can get up there on time and get work done. So that can help them with increasing production.
And even the quality of the fruits coming back to because of the movement of the
marketable produce.
Exactly.
And not only that, a lot of times they have to transport workers.
Correct. Yes.
They have to transport workers to their farms. And so by making these roads more motorable for them, it makes it easier. Of course, it contributes significantly to increasing production and productivity in the agricultural sector. So I think the 4 roads definitely were 4 projects that were well appreciated by the farmers.
En parlant de créole, on vient regarder projet ça là qui est supporté par EU pour bailler assistance pour différentes activités agricoles en cette ici. Nous parlons about si l'usine Forasso et puis Angers. On dit c'est mon qui manière bagage a commencé et côté actuellement.
C'est l'usine.
C'est l'usine.
Oui. C'est l'usine à Brésil. Nous faisons un chai travail pour faire opérer à la manière ces agroprocesseurs là qui ça servi. Tout ce travail là qui fait c'est l'usine déjà complète à Brésil. L'année 4 l'usine, il y a un Forasso, il y a créé le Forasso Agro-Processing Facility. Aussi, il y a un lacaille pour ces farmers qui évoluent en produits sirop miel. Tout de suite, ces farmers, ils ont adhéré à un groupe de 1000 Frères Farmers Cooperative. Ils ont envoyé un proposal by Ministry pour take over et manager l'usine. Troisième, c'est il y a un qui Angers Agro-Processing Facility. Pour l'usine, il est opéré par 2 ou 3 madames qui ont été des ruisseaux et puis Poilin, Micouds, c'est area là, et qui ont managé l'usine, et les gens qui veulent servir l'usine, ils pour payer pour servir l'usine, et qui ont managé. Ils ont commencé, et ça c'est une bonne nouvelle. Dernière usine, c'est une usine pour process cacao. Là, il y a un autre groupe farmer, ils ont sorti nord Vieux-Fort pour y aller jusqu'à Poilin. Ils ont été en general area là. Et ces farmers là, ils ont écrit le département agricole pour manager l'usine là. À part de préparer cacao pour process et préparer cacao pour vendre l'autre pays, ils ont regardé l'autre produit qu'ils ont fait et puis cacao. Vinaigre cacao, poudre cacao, et différents autres produits. Ils ont regardé tout ça à Brésil. So tout de suite, ils ont commencé à manager l'usine ça. So c'est 4 usines ça.
D'accord.
Département agricole, c'est 4 usines ça pour gouer en chai. So l'autre monde qui a ça et qui est intéressé en différents autres usines.
On l'a dit, c'est madame là qui en gère côté yo jani l'usine yo, mais c'est madame là qui font avec Babono, yo tout de suite qui bâti en l'usine en même côté l'usine est fort à ça, ok, échanger l'usine a créé par en projet qu'a créé Paradise Foods, en organisation. So yo même qui assister c'est madame ça pour assister yo les qui commencer produit ces produits à de l'usine neuf là yo. So moi je voulais dire ça parce quand ça ministre a monté là et puis il a tenu une discussion sur ça. So moi bien content c'est madame là il en chaita à point mais actuellement bah ça me marché. On regarde lab Lilion. Nous te hani un lab Lilion qui te regarder il a test différents bagages by pharma. Actuellement, là, ça a marché primaire parce qu'avant, les pharma voulaient test. Il n'y a pas de résultat à l'air. Et c'était un gros problème. Et vous savez, c'est ici, côté, il y a des cas plantés en chaille figue, la test là, si. Mais quand on dit, nous, l'absa, dis-nous about l'absa vite.
Oui, l'absa, c'est un lab qui est scientifique. Et puis, il a aidé ces femmes à pile pour bailler ces résultats là, ils veulent plus vite. Puis, où ça cache bien longtemps, j'ai toujours à présent, si vous voulez tester différents produits comme fertilizer, et puis manger des animaux, etc., on peut faire ces tests là dans l'autre pays. Et ça rapporte un chaitan. Tant pour résultat la vie cette ici, il y a tout ça. Ces femmes à perdre en charge l'argent. So si nous lab ça cette ici, il peut aider nous en pile. Puis vous savez, particulièrement l'année charge disease qui affecte les plants, c'est disease année pour manager. L'année disease qui affecte les animaux. L'année disease qui affecte les animaux et les moun aussi. Toutes ces bases années pour manager. Et l'année pour une bonne corporation et puis ministre santé puis on travaille ensemble puis la notion disease qui a affecté monde qui a affecté les animaux et département agricole pour faire chaque travail il y a que surveillance of diseases et management ces diseases là nous hania et pour travailler avec ministry of health là pour ni c'est qualité résultat nous cacher.
Well, final words from you. We are at the end. 2 minutes. Final words.
Yes. My final words.
2 seconds.
Yes, 2 seconds. Is that agriculture has to be very scientific, you know, and we cannot continue the way that we are continuing if we want to increase production and productivity in a very scientific way. Other countries are approaching agriculture in that way, and we cannot be left behind.
That's right.
We have to approach it in a very scientific way to get the results that we are looking for.
Great.
Yes.
So, Governor, thank you for being here. I thank you for such good work you have done. And I also want to remember Lynetta Paul, who worked with you feverishly to ensure the success of this program very much. You did a very, very good job. Thank you again. Yeah. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing. And before I end, I would like to tell you again that the St. Lucia Marketing Board is opened for business. Farmers are happy, they are selling their produce, and then the consumer are happy they can buy from the Marketing Board at the outlet in Castries. Remember, agriculture is our business, and eat fresh. St. Lucia's best, the money stays here. Thank you again. I'm Phillip Sydney. Goodbye.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.